Hello everybody, welcome back to the gear room. Today I would like to talk about Cohglan's fuel tabs and Esbit fuel tabs and see if there's any differences between them. Here we have the 4-gram fuel tab, the 14-gram fuel tab, and the Cohglan's is a 7-gram fuel tab. Now I live in a rural town, so I can get the Cohglan's at most of the places in town that carry camping equipment, whereas the Esbit I would have to drive into a city or order them online. Now the Cohglan's is a 7-gram fuel tab, so you have to use 2 of them in order to equal what the 14-gram fuel tab from Esbit. The Cohglan's comes in a 24 tablet box, whereas the 14-gram comes in only a 12 tablet box. But when you double them up together, it's basically the same. The 4-gram comes in a 20 tab box, which is more comparable to the Cohglan's. Of course, you'd have to use 2 of these combined to equal one of those. Now, the price point that I just looked up on Amazon for the Cohglan's is around $4.95, and that there was some fluctuation in there. But so around $5 you can get the Cohglan's fuel tablets, and the 4 grams are a little bit more expensive. They're I was watching them between $8 and $10 a box, and the 14-gram was around $6.95, so a little bit more expensive than the Cohglan's. But the price wasn't really what I'm after. I just want to know if the Esbit is worth spending the extra money on, or to just go with the Cohglan's. Now, the Esbit comes in its own wrapper, so that's a plus in my book. I like, you're not going to get bits of fuel all over your pack or whatever you got them stored in. The 4-gram ones do not, and neither do the Cohglan's. So you have to either carry the box around or put them in a new container, which I would do. So they're not just jumbling around your pack. I mean, everybody just put them in a bag, or maybe a little medical container like this. It's just added weight. So anyway, let's get to the test to see how these do. Like I said, this is on my scale, it weighs 3 grams. So this one weighs 7 grams. So I think that the Cohglan's is going to burn longer, but we're not sure. And then I'll do a boil test with 2 of these combined, which would equal 1 tablet of the 14-gram tablets. Okay, so today I'm going to use the Snow Peak 450, which I would normally use for coffee or something like that, and we're going to use the 4-gram tablet, or 3-gram actually, and we'll see how long it burns, and if it gets it warm enough to actually have a cup of coffee or cocoa. As you can see, we've got that lit. Put that on there. We'll start the clock. It's going. Put our lid on there. And as you can see, it spreads the flame out very even. It looks pretty good. But I will go ahead and let this burn, and I will spare you guys the weight. Alright. You guys can tell in there that it's just about been used up. We are around the 6.5 minute mark. There's just bubbles starting to form at the bottom, which is probably just fine for coffee. or hot chocolate. Yeah, there's the 8-minute mark, and that's probably pretty good. It's still putting out a little bit of heat, but not much. Okay, for the next one, we're going to use that tab, and I'm going to use the Snow Peak 700. And I'll put a lid on that one too, but first let's get her lit. Okay, see the flame pattern on that one. A lot bigger for a bigger style pot. About a minute into the burn. Alright, we got getting some noise. We're at about 50, the 8-minute mark. Yeah, she's going to be boiling any second. Alright, there's a rolling boil, 8:45. Alright, we'll see how long she'll idle at a rolling boil. Well, on the camera it looks like there's a lot more there than there actually is. But we just passed the 18-minute mark. It's just barely anything there. Yeah, she's not boiling anymore. So we'll just call it around 18:30. It's still burning, but it's not really boiling or helping you. So that's going. Start the clock. One thing I did notice about the Coghlan's is it tends to spit fuel off. So yeah, like that. When you're burning these, you don't want to on anything you want to keep. This is just an old desk, so I'm not really worried about it. This is something I bought my kids when they was in high school years ago. So I guess my son. But so we'll just let it go. The timer started. We'll see how the Coghlan's does. Alright, as you can hear, this one sounds like it's going to start boiling, but we are right around 8:30, which doesn't surprise me because it was a bigger fuel tab. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is going to come to a boil. As you can see, I have it completely full, and I'm not real sure if 450 milliliters is up to the top there or what, but that's about as full as the last one was. But again, this is almost twice the size of the 4 gram. The Coghlan's being at 7 grams. 10, 24, 10, 25. And it's boiling. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I don't really like my coffee to boil. So it's good that the Coghlan's tab lasts for that long. And you did need to boil something in something as small as a Snow Peak 450. You could do it with one tab in optimum conditions. I think it'd be a lot different if we was outside. Alright, that's pretty much used up, and these ones won't burn away as completely as the other ones. At least they don't seem to. And about 13, 20. That's just burning. I doubt if it's doing very much for a boil. I'm going to call that around 1330 for one tab, which is pretty good. I doubt if it would have got 2 cups to a boil. Okay, for the final test, I just take 2 of them, stand them on end, and these are closer to the 14 grams. They're for the big tablets. We'll go back to the Snow Peak 700, set that on there after we get them going. Get our timer going, and we'll see how long these ones take to bring 16 ounces of water to a boil. See how long they boil for. Alright, we're right at 7:45 or so. It's boiling any second here. 7:57. 8 minutes. There's boil. 8:15, so the whole 30 seconds quicker boil time. Still making noise. It's actually still boiling a little bit. Amazing. So I think I'll call it around 17 minutes. Alright, so lastly I'll do a weight, and I don't know, on a typical weekend outing I would say that I would boil I would need to boil twice for 2 dinners, and maybe have 4 tabs for coffee in the morning and maybe a hot chocolate at night. And that's what I've done here. Got 2 tabs to boil, and then these things break in half real easy. So I've got 2 coffees, 2 hot chocolates if I wanted them. Alright, so the whole package for a weekend, thereabouts, around 45 grams. Now if I was to stay with denatured alcohol, typically I would have 4 ounces of alcohol with me. A little bit much, but just for ease of access, this is what I'd probably use. At 110 grams. And of course I could put that down, but the other containers that I have are either 2 ounces or 1 ounce, and I would rather just take 1 container. Okay, here's enough of the Coghlan's for 2 full rolling boils and hot chocolate and coffee in the morning. $51 grams. Alright, so there you have it, guys. The Esbit being the lightest option over the Coghlan's, but the Coghlan's seem to work pretty good. So I wouldn't, if you were in an area where you could not find Esbit, I would not be a bit shy of buying the Coghlan's. They seem to work. You just gotta watch where you put your stove, and they work just fine. But the Esbit is definitely less weight, and coupled with one of these little stoves, it's a great combination. I wouldn't use their Coghlan stove or even the Esbit big stove. It's just not something I would use. And just to show you guys, that's what happens to the bottom of your pot, and you can clean that off, but it's always there. This is what all those fuel tabs do. Now you could scrub that off with some dirt or sand, and use your bandana or something like that and get most of that off. So that's really not a big deal if you don't mind doing it. Same thing with this one. So, alright everybody, thanks for joining me for another video. Definitely like the solid fuel option for going out there. Definitely lightweight, and something I'm going to be using quite a bit. So until the next one, take care out there. We'll see you on down the trail.